You ever train someone to be better than you? Not just better with a gun or a ship's console. I mean better. Kinda. Sharper. The kind of soldier who makes you think, maybe we don't have to be the monsters they want us to be. Yeah, I did that. And now I'm standing in a cold steel room on a ship that smells like recycled fear. She's on her knees in front of me, wrists bound, hair falling over her face. And there's a gun in my hand with her name on the side. She looks up, smiles, like she's proud of me. And I realize they didn't put me here to kill her. They put me here to find out if I still can. The first time I met Kalenver, she was 17 years old and trying to punch a hole through a bulkhead with her bare hands. I remember the sound of it. Thud, 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 like someone hitting a wet carpet with a frozen chicken. I was walking the lower decks of Aegis Dream, a beat-up colony frigate that smelled of old engine grease and desperation. We just pulled 17 survivors out of a wrecked transport near the Bannon Drift. Most of them were still in shock. Not her. She was barefoot, blood on her knuckles, teeth gritted, and she was whispering something I couldn't quite catch until I got closer. You took him. You took him. You took him. Thud. I leaned against the wall, folded my arms, watched her for a long moment. The bulkhead had a dent now, a small one, but her hands are going to be a problem. You're going to break your metacarpals before you break that alloy, I said. She didn't stop. Thud. It's Lindell steel, rated for micrometeor impacts. You're basically slapping a mountain. Thud. Then she stopped, turned. Her eyes were red, not from crying, from rage. That kind of dry, burning hate that doesn't leak out through tears. It stays inside and cooks you from the ribs outward. Who are you? She asked. Commander Sloanhart, tactical training officer. And you're Kalenver, engineering prodigy, top of your simulator class, and currently bleeding on my ship's floor. She looked down at her hands like she hadn't noticed. Then back at me. They killed my brother. I'd read the report. The transport had been hit by a colloid raiding party. Standard salvage operation gone wrong. 53 civilians aboard. 36 dead. 17 survivors. Her brother, Joran, age 14, had been one of the dead. I didn't say I was sorry. She didn't want sorry. Sorry was a bandage on a severed artery. You want to hit something that hits back? I asked. She blinked. What? I run a training rotation for new fleet recruits. Hand-to-hand. Tactical stress drills. You learn to fight. You learn to think when everything's on fire. And you learn how to make people like the Koloi regret the day they were born. Her jaw tightened. I'm an engineer. Not anymore. That was the first lie I told her. The truth was, she was always an engineer. She just didn't know yet that engineering and war were the same thing. You find a weak point. You apply pressure. You watch the structure fail. I just taught her how to do it faster. The training bay on the Aegis Dream was a converted cargo hold. We had mats that were older than most of the recruits, a sparring cage made of salvaged docking clamps, and a holographic projector that flickered green when it was about to die. It was ugly. It was perfect. Kaylin showed up the next morning at 0500. She'd bandaged her own hands. Badly. The wraps were too loose on the left, too tight on the right. Her hair was pulled back in a crooked knot. She stood at the edge of the mats, like she was expecting someone to jump her. You're early, I said. You said 0500. I said 0500 for me. Recruits start at 0600. She didn't move. What do you do for the first hour? I picked up a training baton, tossed it to her. She caught it with her left hand, her non-dominant. Interesting. I warm up, I said. And I think about what? About who I'm going to have to be today. She turned the baton over in her hand, looked at the scoring on the grip. Old carbon scoring. Burn marks. This wasn't a training baton that had been babied. You've used this for real, she said. Once or twice. How many people have you killed? I could have deflected. Most instructors would have. Instead, I walked to the center of the mats and gestured for her to follow. 17, I said. That I know of. Maybe more. War doesn't keep score the way you think it does. She stepped onto the mat. Barefoot. The bandages squeaked against the surface. Does it get easier? I looked at her. Really looked. She wasn't asking about technique. She was asking about the part of you that breaks when you take a life. Whether that part ever heals. No, I said. But you get faster. She nodded like that made sense. Like she understood. And maybe she did. Grief and guilt sit at the same table. They just order different drinks. Show me how to hold the baton, she said. And that was the beginning. Over the next 6 months, Kaylin became something I hadn't seen before. Not just a good soldier. A natural. She had this way of moving that wasn't quite human. Her reflexes were sharp, but it wasn't just speed. It was anticipation. She'd watch an opponent's shoulder for the micro-twitch before a strike. She'd read foot placement like a sentence. And when she fought, she was quiet. No grunting, no battle cries. Just the sound of her breathing and the rhythmic thwop of impact. The other recruits noticed. Some were intimidated. Most were impressed. One, a cocky kid named Dorn with a shaved head and too much confidence, decided to test her during a sparring match. "Engineer girl thinks she's tough," he said, loud enough for the whole bay to hear. "Let's see how she does against someone who's actually been in a fight." I was about to step in. That was my job. Keep the training safe. Keep the egos in check. Kaylin looked at me. Just a glance. And I saw something in her eyes that made me pause. "Let me." I nodded. The match lasted 4 seconds. Dorn came in fast. Too fast. Sloppy. He threw a right hook that would have taken her head off if it landed. She ducked under it, pivoted on her left foot, and drove the heel of her palm into his solar plexus. He folded like a cheap chair. Air left his lungs in a wet gasp. He hit the mat and didn't move for a full 10 seconds. The bay went silent. Kaylin straightened her training tunic, looked down at him, then looked at the other recruits. "Anyone else?" No one moved. I walked over to her, kept my voice low. "You could have pulled that." She didn't look at me. He needed to learn. Learn what? That being loud doesn't make you dangerous. I almost smiled. Almost. Instead, I clapped my hands and shouted for the next pair to step up. But I filed that moment away. Kaylin wasn't just learning to fight. She was learning to control. And control, in my experience, was more dangerous than rage. Because rage burns out. Control just gets colder. A year later, the Koloi came back. Not to the Bannon Drift this time. To the Forge, a human colony world on the edge of contested space. 40,000 civilians. Mining infrastructure. A single defense platform with outdated railguns, and a crew of 200. We were 3 days out when the distress call came through. "Mayday! Mayday! This is Forge Control. We are under attack by Koloi raiding forces. Estimate 12 vessels. Repeat, 12 vessels. Civilian evacuation underway. Requesting immediate military." The transmission cut off. Static. Then nothing. I was in the command center of the Aegis Dream when it happened. Captain Yarrow, a thick-shouldered woman with a scar across her throat from a knife fight she'd won, looked at me across the tactical display. "Sloan, what's our fastest response time?" 3 days at current burn. 2 if we push the reactors to redline. Push them. I hesitated. "Captain, redlining for 2 days straight will melt the cooling systems. We'll be drifting by the time we get there." She stared at me. 40,000 people, Commander. I pushed the reactors. Kaylin found me in engineering an hour later. I was elbow deep in a coolant manifold, rerouting flow to compensate for the heat buildup. Sweat dripping off my chin. Hands shaking from the caffeine tabs I'd been chewing. "You should be in the training bay," I said without looking up. "I should be here." "Why?" She leaned against the bulkhead, crossed her arms. "Because you're scared." I stopped working, turned to look at her. She'd changed in the past year. Filled out, gained muscle. But it was her eyes that were different. Older, calmer, like she'd already seen the worst thing and was just waiting for the second worst to show up. "I'm not scared," I said. "You are. You're scared we're going to be too late. You're scared the Forge is already gone. And you're scared that if it is, you're going to have to tell me to let it go." I didn't answer. She pushed off from the bulkhead, walked over to me, squatted down so we were eye level. "I'm not a recruit anymore, Sloan." "I know." "Then stop protecting me. I know what we're flying into. I know what the Koloi do. I've read the reports, the salvage operations, the body counts. Reading about it and seeing it are different. Then let me see it." I looked at her for a long time. The coolant lines hissed behind me. The ship groaned under the stress of redlined engines. Somewhere above us, 40,000 people were waiting for help that might not come in time. "You're not ready," I said. "Nobody's ever ready," she replied. "You taught me that." And damn her, she was right. We arrived at the Forge on the second day. Not the third. Not the second day redline deadline. We made it in 31 hours because Kaylin spent 18 of those hours in engineering, rerouting power conduits, and jury-rigging cooling systems with part sheets scavenged from 3 different decommissioned shuttles. When we dropped out of FTL, the Forge was burning. I remember the light of it. A orange-red glow on the planet's night side, visible from orbit. Fires that covered an area the size of a small continent. The Koloi ships were gone. They'd done their damage and left, but their signature was everywhere. Plasma scarring on the defense platform's hull. Escape pods venting atmosphere. A debris field that stretched for thousands of kilometers. Captain Yarrow's voice came over the ship-wide comm, all hands. Search and rescue protocols. I want every shuttle in the air in 10 minutes. Medical teams to the cargo bay. And someone give me a damage assessment on that colony. I was already running to the shuttle bay. Kalen was 2 steps behind me. You're with me? I said. Where are we going? Groundside. The evacuation tunnels under the main hab dome. If anyone survived, that's where they'll be. We took Shuttle 7, a beat-up transport with scorch marks on the hull from a previous engagement. The descent was rough. Atmospheric turbulence from the fires created wind shear that shook the shuttle like a dog with a rat. Kalen sat in the co-pilot's seat, her hands steady on the controls, her eyes fixed on the ground below. There, she said, pointing. I saw it. A thermal signature. Human-sized. Moving. Get us down. We landed in a plaza that had once been a market. Now it was rubble. Bodies. The smell of burning plastic, and something worse, something organic that I didn't want to identify. Kalen was out of the shuttle before the ramp finished lowering. I followed. Rifle up. Scanning. Hello. Kalen called out. Anyone here? Fleet rescue. Silence. Then a sound. A cough. Wet and ragged. We found her behind a collapsed vendor stall. A woman in her 40s, civilian clothes, one leg pinned under a support beam. Her face was pale. Shocky. But her eyes were alert. Thank God, she whispered. My daughter. She's in the tunnels. I told her to run. Please. Please find her. Kalen was already moving. Which tunnel entrance? The maintenance access. Behind a fountain. It's still intact. I grabbed Kalen's arm. Wait. We don't know if it's stable. I don't care. Kalen. She pulled free. Her eyes were wet. Not crying. That same dry rage from the first day I met her. But different now. Sharper. Focused. I didn't come all this way to be careful, she said. I came to save people. And then she was gone, running across the plaza toward the fountain. I looked at the trapped woman. I'll be back for you. Just find my girl, she said. That's all I need. The maintenance tunnel was dark. The emergency lighting had failed. And the only illumination came from my rifle's tactical light and the distant glow of fires reflecting off the walls. The air was thick with dust. Every few steps, I had a cough. Kalen was ahead of me, moving fast. Too fast. Slow down, I hissed. We don't know what's down here. I know what's down here. Survivors. And booby traps. The Koloi like to leave presents. She stopped. Turned. Her face was half in shadow, half in light. Then, teach me how to spot them. I did. Right there, in the dark with a city burning above us and a child somewhere ahead, I taught her how to look for pressure plates, tripwires, and thermal triggers. How to read a room the way an engineer reads a schematic. Find the anomaly. Trust your gut. Move slow when you need to, fast when you have to. She learned in minutes. Applied in seconds. We found the girl 20 meters deeper. She was huddled behind a maintenance junction, her arms wrapped around her knees, her face buried. She couldn't have been more than 6 years old. Kalen knelt down. Didn't rush. Didn't grab. Hey, she said softly. My name's Kalen. I'm here to take you to your mom. The girl looked up. Tears streaked through the dust on her cheeks. Is she okay? She's hurt. But she's going to be okay. We're going to get her help. But I need you to be brave for just a little longer. Can you do that? The girl nodded. Kalen picked her up, cradled her against her chest. And as we walked back through the tunnel, she whispered something to the child that I couldn't quite hear. Something that made the girl smile. Just a little. I thought, she's better at this than me. She's better at all of it. And I was proud. So proud it hurt. That was 2 years ago. Now I'm standing in a cold steel room on a ship that isn't the Aegis Dream. It's a Koloi warship. The Vengeance of the Silent Star. I've been here for 3 days. They took me during a skirmish near the Kessler line. My shuttle was hit. I ejected. They scooped me up before the rescue team could get there. And now they brought her in. Kaelenbe, my student, my friend, the closest thing I've ever had of family. She's on her knees, wrists bound behind her back. Her uniform is torn. There's a bruise on her cheek the size of my palm. But she's looking at me like I'm the one who needs saving. The Koloi commander, a creature named Threll with too many teeth and a voice like grinding stone, stands beside me. He places a pistol in my hand. Cold metal. Familiar weight. Human, he says. You will execute this prisoner. She is a threat to our expansion. A terrorist who has killed 17 of my kind. 17. The same number I told her. The irony isn't lost on me. If you refuse, Threll continues, we will execute you both. Slowly. And we will broadcast it to every human vessel in the sector. I look at Kaylin. She smiles. Do it, she says quietly. It's okay. And I realize this isn't an execution. It's a test. They want to see if I've still got the rage. If I can still kill someone I love. If I'm still the monster they think all humans are. But I taught Kaylin something else. Something I never put in the training manual. I taught her how to lie. The first thing you need to understand about Koloi is that they don't have empathy. Not the way we do. They understand cause and effect. They understand loyalty to the hive. But the thing that happens in your chest when you see someone you love hurt, the thing that makes your hands shake and your throat tight, they don't have that. Which means they're terrible at predicting what humans will do when we're desperate. Threll thought he'd corner me. 2 options. Kill Kaylin or die with her. Neat. Clean. A logical choice for a logical species. But I'd spent 3 days in that cell, listening to the ship's ambient sounds. The hum of the engines. The click of the air recyclers. The footsteps of the guards. 3 days of doing what I'd trained Kaylin to do. Observe, analyze, find the weakness. The pistol in my hand was a Koloi model. -7 Malawian Kwacha's sidearm. Plasma-based. 5 shots per charge. No safety. Koloi considered safeties cowardly. The grip was slightly too small for a human hand, which meant my finger rested differently on the trigger. Less control. More twitch. I turned to Threll. You want me to kill her in front of you? Yes. Then, I need her standing. It's how we do it in human military tradition. Facing the enemy. Threll's head tilted. His mandibles clicked. He was processing. Calculating. A standing prisoner was more of a threat. More risk. But he was also curious. The Koloi were fascinated by human rituals. They collected them the way humans collected stamps. Very well, he said. He gestured to the 2 guards flanking Kaylin. Unbind her. Make her stand. The guards hesitated. Just for a second. That hesitation told me everything I needed to know. They were afraid of her. Even bound. Even beaten. They'd heard the stories. The engineer who fought like a ghost. The woman who'd killed 17 of their kind. Kaylin stood. Rolled her shoulders. Flexed her wrists. Her eyes met mine. And then she did something so small, so quick, that I almost missed it. She blinked twice. Paused. Blinked twice again. A signal. One we developed during training. For emergencies. For situations where speaking would get you killed. I have a plan. Follow my lead. I blinked back. Once. Acknowledged. Threll didn't notice. He was too busy enjoying his moment. Now, he said, execute her. I raised the pistol. Aimed at Kaylin's chest. My hand was steady. That surprised me. I thought it would shake. Any last words? I asked her. She looked past me. At Threll. And her smile widened. 17, she said. Threll's mandibles stopped clicking. What? 17 of your kind. That's how many I've killed. You know what they all had in common? Enlighten me. They all thought they were in control. Kaylin moved. Not toward me. Toward the guard on her left. Her right hand shot out. Not a punch, but an open palm strike to the guard's throat. His windpipe collapsed with a wet crunch. He dropped his weapon and clutched his neck, gurgling. The second guard raised his rifle. Too slow. Kaylin grabbed the first guard's falling sidearm, pivoted, and fired 2 shots into the second guard's chest. Blue plasma burned through his armor. He was dead before he hit the ground. 2 seconds. Maybe 3. Threll was reaching for his own weapon. I didn't give him a chance. I swung the -7 Malawian Kwachas around and fired at his knee. Not to kill. To disable. He screamed, a horrible, grating sound, and collapsed. Kaylin was already at the door, peering into the corridor. More coming. 3. No, 4. I tossed her the -7 Malawian Kwachas. You take point. I've got Threll. What are you going to do with him? Negotiate. She looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Sloan, we're on a Koloi warship, surrounded by hostiles. There's no negotiating. There's always negotiating, I said. You just have to find the right currency. We moved fast. Kaylin cleared corners like I'd taught her. Check high. Check low. Move through the fatal funnel. The Koloi guards were good, but They weren't prepared for her. She was too fast, too precise. Every shot was a kill shot. Every movement was economical. I dragged Threll behind me. He was heavy. Colloid exoskeletons are dense, but adrenaline is a hell of a drug. His injured leg left a trail of green ichor on the deck plating. He cursed at me in his native language. I didn't need a translator to understand the gist. "Where's the hangar bay?" I asked him. "I will not help you." "You will." I put the muzzle of the pistol against his other knee. "Because if you don't, I'll take the other one. Then I'll start on your arms. And then I'll leave you here for your own people to find." A crippled commander who let 2 human prisoners escape. How do you think that story ends for you? He was silent for a long moment. Then, Deck 7, Section C. "But you will never reach it. My warriors will, yeah, they'll kill us." "I've heard it before." Kalen glanced back at me. "We've got a problem." "What kind?" "The kind with reinforcements." I looked past her. At the end of the corridor, a squad of Koloi soldiers was advancing. 8 of them, maybe 9. They had heavy weapons, plasma rifles with underslung launchers. "We can't fight that many," Kalen said. "We don't have to." I shoved Threll forward. "Tell them to stand down, or I put a bolt through your brainstem." Threll hesitated. Then he raised a hand, a clawed, 3-fingered thing, and made a sharp clicking sound. The squad stopped, weapons still raised. "But they didn't fire." "They will not let you pass," Threll said. "But they will not fire while I am the line. That's all I need." I dragged him past Kalen, kept him between me and the squad. We moved sideways like crabs, keeping Threll's bulk between us and the guns. "What's the plan?" Kalen asked. "We get to the hangar, steal a shuttle, get the hell out." "And him?" I looked at Threll. His compound eyes were fixed on me. Hate and fear mixed together in a way that was almost human. "He comes with us." "Hostage?" "Sloan, that's insane. They'll track the shuttle. Let them." We reached the hangar bay. It was enormous, big enough to hold a dozen fighters and 2 cargo shuttles. Only one shuttle was powered up, a sleek, angular thing with colloid markings on the hull. "There," Kalen said. "I can fly that." "You know colloid controls?" "I'm an engineer, Sloan. I can figure it out." We crossed the hangar floor. The squad followed at a distance. Other colloid were gathering now. Crew members, technicians, more soldiers. Dozens of them, all watching, all waiting. I shoved Threll up the shuttle ramp. Kalen slid into the pilot seat. Her hands moved over the controls, hesitating for a moment, then finding a rhythm. "Got it," she said. "But we've got company." I looked out the viewport. The Koloi were advancing, not firing. Threll was still on board, but moving closer, surrounding the shuttle. "Seal the ramp," I said. "What about you?" "I'm not leaving yet." Kalen turned, stared at me. "Sloan, no, I need you to listen to me." I knelt beside Threll, looked into those compound eyes. "You're going to transmit a message to every Koloi ship in the sector." "I will not." "You will, or I'll leave you here, on this shuttle, with her." I pointed at Kalen. Threll's mandibles twitched. "She killed 17 of your kind," I said. "And she's not even trying yet. Imagine what she'll do when she's angry." Threll was silent. "Then what message?" "Tell them that the Forge was a mistake. That attacking human colonies comes with a price. And that if they want their commander back, they'll withdraw from the Kessler Line. Permanently. That is impossible. The line is strategic territory. So are your kneecaps. And I've got a pistol." He transmitted the message. I watched the hangar bay. The Koloi soldiers were receiving it. I could see it in their body language. The uncertainty, the hesitation. Kalen's voice came over the shuttle's external speakers. "Sloan, get on board. Now." "Not yet. The cooling systems are overheating. If we don't launch in 30 seconds, we're not launching at all." I stood up, looked at Threll one last time. "You wanted to know what makes humans dangerous," I said. "It's not our weapons. It's not our ships. It's this." I tapped my chest. "We feel things. And when we feel something strongly enough, we don't stop. We don't negotiate. We don't surrender. We just keep coming." I walked to the ramp, paused. "Tell your people that." Then I hit the ramp control and ran inside. The shuttle lifted off as plasma bolts started hitting the hull. Kalen flew like a woman possessed, banking hard, weaving between Koloi fighters, using the warship's own superstructure as cover. The inertial dampeners weren't great. I got thrown against a bulkhead. Threll screamed something unintelligible. "Where are we going?" Kalen asked. "The Kessler Line. Human space." That's 3 hours at maximum burn. We don't have the fuel. We don't need fuel. We need speed. I limped to the engineering station, pulled up the shuttle systems. Colloy tech was different, but not that different. Power distribution, engine output, cooling capacity. Kaylin, how good are you at math? Pretty good. How good at creative math? She glanced back at me. That smile again. The one that said she already knew what I was thinking. You want to overload the main reactor. Use the burst to slingshot us out of the gravity well. Can you do it? Can I do it? Sloan, I've been doing that since I was 17. You just never caught me. I laughed. Actually laughed. Right there, in a stolen Colloy shuttle, with a hostage commander bleeding on the floor and enemy ships closing in. Do it, I said. She did. The shuttle shuddered. Warning lights flashed. The reactor whined, a high-pitched sound that hurt my teeth. Then, everything went white. When my vision cleared, we were alone. No Colloy ships. No pursuit. Just the cold, dark of space and the distant glow of the Kessler line. Status? I asked. Kaylin checked the displays. Reactor is at 12%. We've got life support for 6 hours. Communications are offline, and we're drifting toward the line. Eventually, at this speed, about 4 days. I sat down heavily. Threll was unconscious, or pretending to be. His leg had stopped bleeding, but the wound looked bad. For days, I repeated. Kaylin got up from the pilot's seat, walked over to me, sat down across from her, cross-legged, like we were back in the training bay on the Aegis Dream. We've been in worse situations, she said. Have we? Remember the coolant leak on the forge? There was a small cut on her lip that she kept licking. She'd been drugged, or starved, or both. But she was alive. It's okay, Kaylin said, using that same soft voice she'd used with the little girl on the forge. You're safe now. You're on a human ship. Alara's lips moved. No sound came out. Water, I said. Get water. Kaylin brought a canteen. Alara drank greedily, spilling half of it down her chin. Then, she looked at me. Her eyes focused for the first time. The blinking, she whispered. My heart stopped. What did you say? The blinking. I saw you. In a corridor. You were going to shoot her. I couldn't let you. So I blinked. Twice. Paused. Twice again. Kaylin and I exchanged a look. You knew the signal? Kaylin asked. Alara shook her head weakly. Didn't know. Guessed. You too. You move like partners. Like you had a language. I needed you to hesitate. Just for a second. So you wouldn't pull the trigger. I sat back. Stared at her. A stranger. A prisoner. Broken and barely conscious. And she'd saved Kaylin's life by doing something she had no right to know. That's the most insane thing I've ever heard, Kaylin said. But she was smiling. That crooked, half-exhausted smile. It worked, didn't it? Alara said. It worked. I got on my feet, and I dreamed of the forge. In a dream, I was back in a maintenance tunnel. I checked on Alara. She was asleep, wrapped in a thermal blanket Kaylin had found. Her breathing was steady. Good. Threll was awake. His compound eyes tracked me as I moved. Human, he said. His voice was raspy. Damaged. You have made a mistake. Which one? Bringing me with you. My people will not negotiate. They will hunt you. They will find you. And they will kill everyone you have ever loved. I knelt in front of him, looked into those alien eyes. You're wrong, I said. Not about the hunting. About the negotiating. Your people don't negotiate because they've never lost anything that mattered. But they're going to lose you. And when they do, they're going to realize something. What? That humans don't just survive. We remember. Every colony you burn. Every transport you raid. Every person you take. We remember. And we wait. And when you least expect it, we come back. I stood up, walked to the viewport. The Kessler line was closer now. I could see the running lights of human patrol ships. Tiny pinpricks in the dark. Kaylin, can you boost a signal? Maybe. If I reroute power from life support. We'd have about 30 seconds of air before it gets thin. Do it. She looked at me. Didn't argue. Just moved to the engineering station and started working. 30 seconds. That was all we needed. The signal went out at 0347 ship time. A simple distress call. Human vessel. Prisoner transport. Colloy hostage on board. Requesting immediate extraction. The response came 9 minutes later. A human frigate, the last argument, changed course to intercept. ETA, 45 minutes. We're going to make it, Kaylin said. She sounded surprised. We were always going to make it, I said. You don't know that. Yes, I do. I looked at her. Because I trained you. And you don't lose. She laughed. A real laugh. The kind that comes from deep in the chest. You're such a liar, she said. I've lost plenty. Name one. She thought about it. Dorn, the recruit you flattened in 4 seconds. I lost my temper. That's a loss. You taught me control. And I threw it away because I wanted to hurt him. You didn't hurt him. You humiliated him. There's a difference. Is there? I smiled. Yeah, humiliation heals. Hurt doesn't. The last argument arrived 42 minutes later. Its docking clamps latched onto our shuttle with a satisfying thunk. The airlock cycled, and then we were surrounded by human faces. Marines in combat armor, a medic with kind eyes, a captain with gray hair and a tired expression. Commander Hart, the captain said, "You've been busy. Just another day, sir." He looked at Threll, then at Alara, then at Kalen. We picked up the Colloy transmission, the one about the Kessler line. Good. They've already withdrawn, pulled back to their own space. They're scared. Good, I said again. The captain shook his head. You know they'll be back. They always come back. Then, we'll be ready. They took Threll to a secure medical bay. Alara went to sick bay. And Kalen and I ended up in a small observation room, looking out at the stars. What happens now? She asked. Now? You get promoted. I get debriefed. The war continues. That's not what I meant. I turned to look at her. She was different in the starlight. Softer. Younger. The bruise on her cheek had faded to a sickly yellow. What did you mean? I asked. I meant us. You and me. After everything. Are we still? Still what? Still good? I thought about it. The training. The forge. The execution that wasn't. The blinking that saved her life. Yeah, I said. We're still good. She nodded. Looked back at the stars. Sloan. Yeah. I would have done it. Done what? Pulled the trigger. If it had been you on your knees. If they told me to kill you. I would have done it. The words hung in the air. Heavy. Honest. I know, I said. Does that scare you? I thought about it. Really thought. No, I said. Because you would have found a way to save me anyway. Just like I found a way to save you. Even though I didn't blink. Even then. She smiled. That crooked, exhausted smile. You're a terrible liar. You know that? I know. We stood there for a long time. Watching the stars. Listening to the hum of the ship. 2 soldiers who had trained each other, saved each other, and would probably have to do it all over again someday. The war wasn't over. It was never over. But for now, in that small room with the starlight on our faces, we were still good. And sometimes that's enough.